This is video 3, which is sequences and actions on a sequence. So let x equal 3, 0, and 8. Let that represent a sequence. The first action is transposition, which is when each pitch class in x is increased by a semitone. So taking our example 3, 0, and 8 for x, if we had t to the fourth of x, that would equal 7, 4, and 0. Now you need to remember that we're still operating in z divided by 12, which is our pitch class. So 0 and 12 are the identities, so 12 would equal 0. The next action is inversion, which is when you replace each pitch class by its inverse. So I, or inversion of x, would equal 9, 0, and 4. And the last action is retrograde, which is when you have the reverse order of the sequence. So the retrograde of x would equal 8, 0, and 3. So we also know that actions form a group. So if we had a group generated by t, I, and r, now remember t to the 12, would, in this case, would equal I squared, which would equal r squared, which all represent the identity. We also have ti, which equals it inverse, ir equals ri, and rt equals tr. And we also know that we can form a composition table where you can refer to my presentation back on the site. So let's talk about stabilizers. Stabilizers are groups generated by each action that are able to, if you were play the note, that would be able to represent symmetry. So if we take our first example, a major chord, spelled out musically, we have 0, the identity. We'd have note 4 in the pitch class and note 7 in the pitch class. And the stabilizer that we can use is the group generated by R, or the retrograde. So that means that if we were to spell it backwards, we would still have a major chord. And the same is the case for minor chords. So spelled out with 0, 3, and 7. Retrograde says that if we were to play it backwards, it would still be a minor chord. Let's talk about the augmented triad. So we have, if we were to start on C, so we have 0, 4, and 8. The stabilizer, the elements that generate a group to stabilize this chord would be transposition 4. So transposition 4, inverse, and R. So transposition 4, if we were to start on 0 and moving up 4 will give us our next, moving up 4 will give us our next note. And if we started on any note in this chord, it would give us the same chord. So if we were to start on E and go 4 and then 8, it would give us the same chord. And the same works for the retrograde and the inverse. We can also use, let's go to another example, diminished seventh. 0, 3, 6, and 9. The elements that can stabilize this are transposition 3, inverse, and retrograde. So starting at, if we were to build a diminished seventh off of C, if we were to start on any note in this chord and go up transposition 3, you would still build the same chord. So we started on C, went up 3 from E flat, went up 3 from F sharp. It would give us the same chord. And the same if we were to start on E flat, transposition 3 builds the same chord, and the same works for the inversion, and the same works for the retrograde. Our last example is the dominant seventh. So we have 0, 4, 10. And the stabilizer that would work for this chord is the retrograde. So the more complex a chord gets, the only stabilizer that will be able to work is the groove generated by the retrograde. So for C minor 11, sus chords, more complex major chords, the only thing that can stabilize them is the retrograde.